Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. I'm welcoming myself back because it's been a while since I've been on. So great to be back. And here I am with Marc Cameron and Dr. Alice Benton. Hi, you guys doing all right? How's it going?
We sure are. We've missed you, so we're so glad you're back.
Welcome back.
In the chair.
Yeah,
we'll
I hear
welcome
you.
you back.
I'll let's see how much I missed. But whenever I'm gone, we got such great people to fill in. I don't feel like I'm neglecting anything. If you want to join us on the program, by the way, it's 1-800-229-3000, 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to hear what's on your mind, and we'd give it our very best to answer whatever that is, 1-800-229-3000. Before I talk to you about what I really want to talk to you about, I just want to mention that I am a hero today because in our home last night, I made homemade ice cream. And I just can't encourage you enough to be sure your kids get to experience the making of homemade ice cream in the month of August because they loved it. And there are recipes that are so simple you can't believe you don't make it all the time. But what I really want to talk about after that little parenting tidbit is that tomorrow, 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 noon Eastern, we're going to do a webinar on the brand new book, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. It's also a screen-saturated world, but this is about screen saturation. Dr. Alice Benton and I did this. She did the heavy lifting. And maybe one insight or one area that you're going to focus on tomorrow, Alice. What are you thinking?
Well, just a statistic I'll share right now, Steve. Over 50% of children have access to their screens in their bedrooms after bedtime at night. And I was thinking, we would never put a vending machine of free candy in our children's rooms and let them have access whenever they want. But it's almost like we've been hoodwinked when it comes to screens, and we let them have that. And that's a vending machine of all sorts of things that will both delight them, entice them, and poison them. Although I think screens can be a great blessing if we learn to manage it well. Right. And so in our webinar, we're going to share all kinds of things we can do to help with parental screen management so that we can avoid the tug of war over a screen. Because we know that doesn't work, but we've got a lot of techniques that do work.
Well, and the effective parent, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. The effective parent is not necessarily the best friend of the child. Because you're going to say, I want these things in our bedroom plugged in before you go to bed. That's what happens at our house. Mm-hmm. My daughter, 14, she gets access to social media 2 minutes a day. So, we have a limit there. And if she's responsible, then she gets more time later on. Mm-hmm. But it's just like a car. Your kid takes the car, crashes, burns. You're probably not going to let them have the car. Or you're going to get them a flip car, like a flip phone. So anyway, it's going to be a great webinar. The book is fantastic. It's number one in this category of Christian education for teens and young people on new releases. But I'll tell you, you cannot ignore the importance of knowing what to do with your child and screens and how to pull it back. If you've made a mistake, too much access, what's the best way to pull it back in so they have some protection? Well, if you want to join us, we're going to take a break here, come right back for your calls, 1-800-229-3000. Marc Cameron, Dr. Alice Benton will be here for 2 hours, so you probably would be able to get your phone call in. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Lucy from Los Angeles. 1-800-229-3000. This is the last day of July. Don't forget to do whatever you were supposed to do during July. You've got a day.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Alice Benton, Marc Cameron. Many of you heard that little spot about Lumina. It is a women's event, our partnership with Museum of the Bible and this wonderful organization called Inspire. You will not regret getting some other women together and going to this event if you're a woman and you want to leave totally inspired to get deeper into God's Word and make a difference with it. And we're just thrilled to get to be part of this. And speakers are amazing, like Jenny Allen's one of our speakers. It's just a wonderful day. Get your women there. And you can find out about it at luminawomen.org. You can go to newlife.com. It's all right there. But I said we were going to go to the phones and talk to Lucy, and we're going to do that. And Lucy, welcome to New Life Live. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Certainly.
I want to know what you think is the best way to deal with the pain of rejection. Like, what's the first thing and the second thing, the steps of it. What can you do?
Well, tell us about why you're asking the question. What's happened in your life?
Well, it started with friends of mine who've been together for 30 years, and then the lady is starting to criticize the husband. And then also, it's just in my own background relationships I've had, particularly with family. So that's why I'm asking.
So, on one hand, you're seeing this happen in another relationship, and
yeah,
and then
it relates, of course, to what I've been through, and
what have you been
what
through?
You thought.
Okay, what have you been through? What was the biggest disappointment, being rejected?
I would say abuse and abandonment.
Okay.
2 different relationships. The first one was more of a pattern of abandonment, and then in my marriage it was abuse.
Okay. Alice, why don't you get us started here?
Not only those negative things, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Lucy, it is such an important question that you ask, and it takes a lot of courage to ask it. And would you tell us, so we can better help you, how have you already tried to address this hurt you've been carrying for a long time? Have you gone into any structured help, professional help?
Oh, I have had 30 years of therapy myself, but it's sort of all needs to be cleaned up here and there. I mean, I wonder how much of it was my fault, and things you don't see, their own issues. I'm wondering how, when it comes up, rather than blame yourself or point the finger at them, how can we best get out of it, get out of the pain of it?
You want a more balanced view of your own part and the other people's part in the pain you have. And tell us, are you still married to your husband?
No.
He's still alive, but you're divorced?
Oh, yeah, long time ago.
Uh-huh. And are you no longer in contact with him?
No.
And as you've gone through so much therapy already, it seems as if the missing piece for you is the balance in the view. And so part of the way of getting to that, and I'm sure you've done a lot of this already.
Balance in how you see it?
Say that again?
Do you mean balance in the way you see it?
Right, that perspective that you want balance in. The way we usually get to that is through the storytelling of what we have been through in all those different relationships where you've experienced pain. And as the Bible directs us, Lucy, to take the beam out of our eye, because we do often have a part to play, not always. Especially if you've experienced abuse in childhood, you were an innocent victim of what you went through. And an innocent victim does not have a part to play in that abuse. And so we differentiate what belongs to the perpetrator, what's their responsibility. And then as we're all imperfect, what was the role we played? Did we tolerate for too long? Did we forgive and forget rather than waiting for that reconciliation? And if you grew up in an abusive home, Lucy, you probably weren't taught the skills of what to do when somebody mistreated you because it became normal for you. And so by inviting feedback from your counselor that knows you well, that you've worked with for many years already, asking that question, what do you see as my part? Where was I imperfect? And then how do we put the right amount of blame on our perpetrator? Because we all need a day in court. We need justice. Even if we just receive it with our therapist or with God, getting to that balance helps our healing process, and it's through the storytelling.
Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Lucy, I feel for you here. And what I want to tell you is that you're not alone. There's a lot of people who actually struggle with this. Many of us have rejection and or abandonment in our backgrounds. And oftentimes that ends up coloring a lot of our present situations. And we have what we call perceived abandonment and perceived rejections. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples about that so you can understand what that is. Like a perceived rejection could be, I get home from the gym and I'm sweaty and I go to hug my wife and she says, oh, could you take a shower first, right? I could perceive that as a rejection. It's not real, it's perceived. Or a perceived abandonment could be after Sunday lunch, I'm cleaning up the dishes and my wife is upstairs taking a nap. That's a perceived abandonment. I'm doing this all by myself. And so people who have real rejection and real abandonment in their backgrounds, they tend to have these perceptions in the present, and it's not really happening, but their background stories color what's going on. And so what I would say to you is to learn to be able to recognize those things by what Alice has said already here. If you know your story, you know where the roots come from. When these things happen in the moment, you can recognize what is happening and feel, the feeling that you're having is real. The rejection feeling and the abandonment feeling that you're having is real, but the situation is perceived, if that makes sense. And so it's learning to be able to tell yourself, right, the balance, like, I really feel this, but this is where it comes from. It comes from the hurt, the pain in my past. It's not really happening in the present. And as you learn to do that, and as you learn to find the balance, and you may need, a counselor to help you with those situations, it will reduce for you.
And
Very good. Go ahead.
Mark said, know your story.
It will reduce, what was that?
The feeling, the intensity of that feeling will reduce for you, because what's happening is you're having a $50 reaction to a 5-cent problem. Right? And then that makes you want to push away from the person in the present because you think, you're abandoning me. I've got to get away from you and be safe. And you withdraw, and that limits your relationship.
And Lucy, Mark said, know your story. And we would think, of course, I know my story. I lived it. Or I've been in therapy for 30 years. I know my story. But Lucy, I've had folks work with me for years, and there'll be essential parts to their story they've never yet told because they didn't feel safe enough, or they don't have easy access to those memories. And
you mean telling the story again?
Oh, yeah, we usually have to repeat our story multiple times to get through the layers because God invites us deeper into our healing process over our lifetime. It's a work in progress throughout our whole life.
And one final note for you. A lot of times when people receive rejection, and it really is so much more about them than you, there are a lot of things we need to do. We need to see, well, was the rejection based on something I did that I could change? Was I, right, proper, whatever? But here's the important thing. Rejection by one often causes us to want to isolate, especially if it's a major portion in our life. And so every person dealing with rejection, it's hard to do this, which is very helpful. Be in a group where you are accepted. Find that women's Bible study where there's acceptance. Go to that small group, the anonymous group, whatever it is. But it's hard to feel rejected and then set yourself up to be rejected again. But there are places, safe places, that you need to be so that the rejection of one doesn't destroy all parts of you because you're not feeling accepted by some really healthy people. So I'm really glad that you called. I'm going to send you Healing is a Choice. I hope that helps a bit. You sound so articulate and so aware and on it. I really hope something that we've said has helped. If you'd like to join us on the program, you can join us at 1-800-229-3000. And I'm going to go to, I think it's Bree here on line 2. Is that right? Bree, is that your name, or do I have it wrong?
Bruni.
Okay, say that again.
Bruni. B-R-U-N-Y.
They didn't give me the full name. Their little box wasn't big enough. I can't believe it. I have to enlarge the size of that.
You guys are going to be punished then.
Oh, yeah. So how are you doing, and how could we help you?
So I called before, and as you know, I'm raising my 2 grandchildren by myself, right?
Uh-huh.
And my grandson, he's 16. He's autistic. He doesn't know how to read and write. So with him, the matter of a cell phone, it's a little more easy. So I don't give him a cell phone. But with my granddaughter, she's 14. Her mother decided to buy the cell phone for her, and she have access to everything in the telephone. So I tell her sometimes when she doesn't abide with the rules and regulations of the home, that, she's going to lose some access to the telephone.
Uh-huh,
and
right.
She would not give it to me. She called her mother, and this is happening more often, and crying to her mother that I'm being unfair to her and this and that. So you know how it is with teenagers. So the mother sent me back a text really insulting me and all that stuff. So I just don't know what to do with this issue because I don't have any support from anybody because I'm by myself with them. So
well, let me ask you this. Refresh our memory on why you're raising them and you still have access to your daughter, or she's still involved with them. What's going on there?
That's not my daughter.
Okay. Their mother isn't your daughter. Okay.
No.
So why isn't their mother raising them? I guess that's a better question.
Why? Because she took them and they were abused, and we had to rescue them with the policeman. And when they were little, and the judge realized that they were not going to be any good with her.
Uh-huh. Okay.
This was a repetition, so they ended up giving me to the custody.
Right. Okay. And you were willing to do that, and that's just being a hero. That's wonderful. Your daughter, their mother, has obviously proven that she is not healthy for them, and what she's doing is not healthy for them here. She should be saying to you, hey, she is your guardian. She is your parent, referring to you, and you need to abide by her rules because she gets to make those rules. You're living in her home. That's what I would hope would happen. I don't know how you get that message across or that it could even be adhered to by their mother. Alice, Mark, what are you guys thinking here?
Bruni,
really unhealthy.
Would you tell us, is your son and is your husband, are they in the picture at all? I know you said no support from anyone.
No support from anyone.
Are you married?
They're out of the picture. They're both out of the
I
picture
see.
now.
I see. And so you're
Tragic.
basically a single parent, grandparent to these children, and it's just the
Yes.
three of you in the home together?
Yes.
Okay. When we come back from the break, we've got some strategies we can give you, so we'll be able to help you with this more effectively.
All right.
Okay, thank
So
you.
hang in there. I'm glad you called. 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Alice Benton, the newly published co-author of Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. The other book that just came out at the same time, Understanding and Loving Your College Student, How to Influence Without Being Controlling. And Marc Cameron with us, and our phone number, 1-800-229-3000. If you need help, if you need direction, you need a counselor, a therapist, call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. There are people right there, right now, wanting to give you the best resource possible. We'll be back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, August 4th through the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're just finishing up here, or maybe just getting started with Bruni, and one of those situations where she stepped in to raise these kids when mom has not been appropriate and the men are not in this child's life, so, or either of their lives. So, Mark, what are you thinking about what needs to happen here, what could happen that would shift? She needs support.
Yeah. So Bruni, let me ask you this question: how do you try and restrict right now? You say that you try and put some restrictions on when she acts up, but then she calls the mom, and the mom undermines you. How do you try and restrict?
So what I tell her is that I would like to have her to have some restriction in the internet, because there's a lot of stuff out there that she doesn't need to see, and I, like right now she's not in TikTok, Facebook, and all this stuff, and the reason for that is because the father might get a hold of her, and he's an abuser, and we don't want them to get in contact. She doesn't know all the terrible things, because I don't tell her everything he's done. So that's why I say, I'm sorry. So that's why I say to her, there's certain stuff you can go in it and this and that, but other stuff you don't need to be.
Right. So it's a safety issue. So I wondered if you had actually had access to the handset that you could take it from her? Because I wonder, because this is your house, really. I mean, it's your house and it's your rules, and you have the prerogative to be able to make those decisions. But of course, that's going to come down to whether you can actually have access to take the physical phone, or I'm sure you have access to the internet, that you can turn things on and off on the internet. It's going to be difficult if you don't have access to that, because what happens is kids see this as their right. Once they've been given a phone, it's their right, and so when you're trying to take it away from them, it's like you're taking away their rights from them, and they're going to try and fight back against that. And so what I would say to you is if you do have access to actually be able to take the phone, I would do that. I would take the phone and see if you can put some actual physical restrictions on with the software on there.
And
I try, but
Bruni, I want to add a counterintuitive approach to this, because I completely agree that restricting screen access and reestablishing your authority, really a parental authority, is so important, even just for your sanity as well as for your granddaughter's safety. I want to add in a backdoor approach to this, because emotional escape through digital devices is probably one of your granddaughter's ways of coping with her parents' chaos. It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't justify her screen use, but it does make it understandable. And so I want you to focus on and prioritize increasing emotional comfort by checking on her, by pointing out, isn't this so hard that you get conflicting messages from your mom and me? Would you tell me what that's like for you? Would you tell me what it's like when I try to limit your screen access? That might be really angering and scary and unsettling for you. Tell me about that. Now, Bruni, it seems like the wrong approach, because shouldn't you try to get her screen from her? And yes, you should, but that just can't be the priority, because this child, as you know, needs relational comfort. And as you increase that, it is more likely that you reestablish your authority and that you can then have access to her screen. But like you said, you have no support. And to be a single parent is already practically an impossible task. Mm-hmm. And so, Bruni, getting into therapeutic counseling relationship or group support so that you have other adults who are encouraging you to keep in this battle, because it's so easy for us parents to give up, and especially as a grandparent to give up on it. But I hear your strength.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Do you have a relationship with anybody through the courts or Child Protective Services that are involved with you and you're raising these two kids?
Right now, she's getting counseling, and my church is paying for it. Her, not me. I'm not getting anything.
That's okay. So, and where does that counseling come from? Where does the counseling come from? What's this?
It's a Christian ministry here where I live, and the church is paying for her to go to counseling. Okay.
You know, I know here, if I were to call Child Protective Services and told them, I'm low on resources, we're having this conflict, they would want to come in. It wouldn't be evaluating whether this was a healthy situation. They would know it wasn't. They would try to help you and her in some creative ways. But I don't know what it is like in your area. But here, it's very, very good. And they really are creative, and they bring people back together. So I would explore Child Protective Services helping you alongside this other ministry where she's getting counseling.
And Bruni, please come to our free webinar that we're hosting tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 12 Eastern time, because we'll give you more tips and more techniques so that we can equip you for handling this. You're doing a great job as a grandparent. We praise you for that.
Yeah. And I'm going to send you this book, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. Anybody else, you can get this at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. We're going to take a break, come right back, and when we do, we're going to go to Tina, and really appreciate Bruni giving us that call. Tina, we'll talk with you after the break. You're listening to New Life Live, 1-800-229-3000. But don't forget to go to newlife.com. And this Friday, Every Man's Battle is going to be in Dallas, Texas. These These sessions are so powerful. Everything can change in a weekend.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and before we go to Tina, Larry Sonnenberg is in the studio. And hi, Larry.
Hey, Steve. Good to be here.
What do you have for us here today?
Well, you mentioned every man's battle earlier, and I just want to share. We've shared some of this before. We got a letter once from a wife. It was after her husband came back, and some weeks went by. And I'm going to read a paragraph out of that, but I want to talk a little bit more about some support as well.
Okay.
She said, my husband's experience at Every Man's Battle weekend has been totally life-changing for him, for me, and for our marriage. He came home a very new and different man and husband. He learned so much and his heart was miraculously changed. Praise the Lord. He mourned what had been lost and the wasted years. He was in pain over the pain he caused me. He said deep healing words, shared feelings, expressed a lot of emotion, many tears, which has not happened before. Only God could have done this amazing work, and I'm so thankful for Every Man's Battle, for investing into him and the other men that were there, and all the families that will be positively impacted for years, possibly generations to come. Mm-hmm. God was truly at work in Dallas. That's where we had it then, and we're having it there this weekend too. The healing process has begun, and we can tell this time it's different.
Well, that's why we get up in the morning, or it's why I get up in the morning, is I live for these stories of transformation, and that is a transformed man.
The thing about this, too, is the wife heard about the workshop on radio, and she she emailed the website link to her husband and said, you need to go to one of these. Not expecting him to take it seriously, he said, looks like a good workshop, and he took it upon himself to register.
And
that's awesome.
Wives, we usually are the initiator of that process, and you might feel too angry and hurt to be the one to initiate. It's not fair. It shouldn't be you. That is true. But when our men are willing to pick up on what we start, it does benefit us and our children and the next generation, as Larry pointed out.
Yeah.
Well, nothing is fair about anything, and when we have damaged another person, it's every man's battle. An experience like that helps us all of a sudden wake up. I've been defending myself, but look at the damage I've caused. That's one of the great benefits from it. But if the guy never gets there, And sometimes he just needs some nudge, and sometimes he needs to be told, if you want us to have a future, you need to do this. And I hope you will. And the other thing is, I hope that you'll support somebody. We love having people call, say, I can't afford this, but I was told to look into it. And we're able to say, we have a scholarship that can help you get there. 1-800-NEW-LIFE is that number to call. And, we just really need your help anyway. I mean, we've always had summer slumps. This one is kind of developing a humpback. It's so
it's
slumped
funny,
over.
but it is.
Yeah. So if you can help us in any way, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. Larry, what else you want to share?
Well, the only other thing, you introduced it well. It's been a tough year, not just summer slump, but the year has been slow to begin with. And I just want our audience to know we're doing a self-examination of New Life. We want to understand. People aren't giving like they used to, and people aren't signing up for the workshops in the numbers they used to. And we're going to do some research. We're going to figure out what we need to do differently. I hate to use the word market, but we want to make sure we market this well so that people know we want to do more. Excuse me. The need is big out there. And we don't want to succumb to just the thought that, oh, well, it's not working anymore, because it's working. God is moving. We had a workshop this weekend. It was amazing, the results that people have in a marriage
Intimacy
workshop.
in marriage, yeah.
So if you can support us, we need it probably a little more than usual. And thank you.
Yeah. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, newlife.com. Thank you, Larry.
Hey.
And if you want to join us on the program, we're here another hour and a half, 1-800-229-3000. And I said I'd go to Tina, and I'm absolutely there. Hi, Tina. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm going through a divorce that absolutely did not want to have. I had a nervous breakdown, and anyways, it entailed my husband filing for a divorce, and realized that he was saying that I've been into the Bible too much, was oversalt, and wasn't letting him have the reins of everything. I misinterpreted a few times maybe, and I definitely had a little bit of judgment towards people because of my misinterpretation, which has caused nothing but a mess all around me. My kids are really skittish around me sending them anything that has to do with the Bible now, and him and everybody. I've made a mess, and I realize that, and I'm trying to get through this, and I've been secluded, and I'm just living life all by myself. I feel like nobody wants to be around me or talk to me. I am going to a church, and I'm definitely getting involved again in the church because he shut that off a while ago too. But that's where I stand right now. It did have to do with substance as well.
Okay, so what is the question for us? How would you like us to help you with this?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to go about talking to them, because my world got so involved, and my world is all about the Lord, and it's really hard to have conversations with any of them because their world's in a different world than where I am.
Right. So
and that's where I'm really struggling right now.
Okay.
And Tina, you mentioned
let me just
go ahead, Steve.
I just wanted to say one thing. You know, it sounds like you're aware of the problem, the rejection, the impact of some things that you've said. But I really think beyond awareness, you're really going to have to make a change or two. That you're going to have to essentially eliminate talking about Jesus right now, or God, or the Bible, or anything that they think you've been overbearing on. And a lot of times we think we're doing the right thing, but if, people are telling us, well, maybe it's a little too much or whatever, well, in some cases it needs to be too much, but in others we really do need to assess, is what I'm saying necessary? Is it helpful? is it causing the reaction or response I want, or is it just the opposite? And I think this kind of communication with them has caused the opposite reaction that you would want, and only you can rein that in and calibrate whatever. Nobody's going to think you lost your faith just because you don't bring up a scripture, the Bible, or Jesus in every conversation. Alice, go ahead.
Tina, who used substances?
We both.
And what was your drug of choice?
Cannabis.
Okay. And are you sober? How much sobriety do you have?
Yes, yes,
How
yeah,
long?
I am. Yep, it's been about 4 months now.
And your children sound like they're adults and they're out of the home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to give you 2 different phrases to hold on to. When you said, how do I talk to my family? I want you to listen rather than talk. Listen rather than talk. And you might start off with an acknowledgement, because you've shown us a lot of humility, Tina, in this phone call. And so you might say, or in writing, acknowledge, I have been judgmental, I've been self-righteous and controlling, and I've been using substances, I've been hypocritical in my behavior, and I want to hear how that has impacted you. Now, you got to brace yourself, Tina, that because they're cutting off communication with you, it sounds like, they may not be willing to answer you. But the question needs to be asked, the invitation needs to be offered, and they may not respond for quite some time. The other phrase I'm going to give you is show versus tell. You've been telling them about the gospel. It's time to show it. And it's showing it by maintaining your sobriety, probably by doing 90 meetings in 90 days, working those steps, getting your sponsor. They may not even see the evidence of it for some time, but you start accumulating the objective evidence so that when they're willing to look in again and see, they see a changed mother.
Mark, you have a thought here?
Yeah, just we're running up against the break here, but I just want to affirm what Alice is saying. You're going to have to apologize and admit to them, and it's really going to take a lot of humility to do this, but you're going to have to learn how to pause, and there's going to be a lot of things that you might want to explain in this moment, but I caution you, do not do that. Do not explain. Wait, hear them out. Build the relationship first, and once you've built the relationship with them, then later on down the line, you might get to explain some of your parental decisions, but just listen right now in this moment.
Yeah. Okay. You know, of course, we can say that whenever we present truth, it's divisive and there's rejection and stuff. But in some cases, it doesn't have to be. Or we take that concept and we just go with it and let divisiveness occur. Maybe it doesn't have. We'll take a break. Right after this, come back, talk to you.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and it is so important that we're aware, first of all, aware of what we're doing, how we're communicating. And, I had a person in my family that was very overbearing. And once she backed away, all of a sudden, the person that she loved came toward the church and got involved with the church. And so all of us, in many different ways, can be overbearing about one thing or another. But I think we've given some really good direction here of modulate and downplay a bit and see if people don't start to be a little more open when they see an absolute change. And Mark, I think you're saying you really need to apologize. You need to say, hey, I messed up. I didn't get this right. That kind of humility, it really does speak, as you were saying, Alice, you're the example, or Mark, being the example versus talking about the faith, very, very important. Well, let me send you every woman's, that doesn't exist yet. I'll send you the 1-year Bible for women. I hope that'll be an encouragement to you. But also, to help you in that recovery, I'll send you Take Your Life Back. I think that will be of help. I sure hope so. 1-800-229-3000. That's the phone number, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to, I believe it's Barbara from the Virgin Islands, and the station WGOD. How are you, Barbara? How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful. And, of course, I always have great memories of going to the Bahamas and being in a little shop there. And there was New Life Live on right there. So it's wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And how can we help you?
Yes, I'm trying to bring healing to my family. It's myself, my daughter. She is 42 years old. My son, he is 36. And I grew up with a lot of anger. I grew up with my mom. She yelled a lot at me and, my self-esteem. And I realized that I have a lot of anger. And I portrayed that anger onto my 2 children. So now, and I look at them today and I see the effects of it on them, especially with my son. I mean, he's addicted to marijuana. He dropped out of school when he in the 9th grade. He had 2 children when he was in high school.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick. Real quick, so what have you done to try to repair it? Now, I mean, it's obvious that there's a problem.
And that's the thing. It's like, where do I start? How do I say something? I mean, how do I, what do I say? How do I say it? Because, I grew up, my mom never explained to me how her life was, what it was like for her. She never really spoke about certain things. And, when she would turn on me, and yell at me or get physical with me, I wasn't even allowed to cry or say, how I felt.
Well, you could start with the honesty of saying, let's say your son was Tom. Tom, I really don't know how to say this. I've thought it through, and I'm not going to say it well, maybe, but I want you to know what I'm thinking. Alice?
Well,
Go ahead.
oh, Barbara, you didn't have a model at all of how to do repair work because your mother was ignorant of repair work and she was a perpetrator of abuse. So what a setup for this to be continually passed on to the next generation. But you are now prepared to be a generational curse breaker because of your willingness. And this kind of very difficult conversation probably needs to be practiced with a counselor or with a dear friend so that you can build up the courage and the strength to make a clean apology without explanation or justification. Barbara, I needed to apologize to my family for ongoing deception on my part. And girl, I had to practice for a year with a therapist because I was so afraid to have this and I didn't have the skills either. I needed to practice and build up the ability to do this. So practice through role play. And then you can implement what Steve is telling you with your son.
Mark, you have a final comment here before we close
Barbara, I've heard so many people who have talked about, the experience that they've had with their parents and they resolved not to do things that way. And then they find that they are doing it that way. And the problem is even if we say we're not going to do it that way, we're learning beings. And so we only know what we learn. And so then when we get into those same situations, we repeat because that's what we know. Right. And so one critical thing I heard you say, you said that, you weren't allowed to cry. You weren't even allowed to say how you felt. And that is so important here, is being able to go to your kids now, offer that humility that we're talking about here, and ask them, how did you feel when this happened to you growing up? I think first you got to own what you did and recognize that it was wrong and say, I didn't do this, but I want to repair now and I want to do it now. It's not too late now that they're older. You can heal because they're carrying around some of those emotional wounds. That's and you can heal some of those now. And so I think if you haven't read How We Love, read How We Love. It will show you how to do that.
Yeah, and also, I'll send How We Love, and I'll send you 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. I hope that will give you some insight and some healing also. And I'm really glad you called. We're just about out of time, and please hold on. We'll try to get to your call in the next program that we're going to be doing right after this. In the meantime, let me remind you that Every Man's Battle is Friday in Dallas, Texas. Dallas has this location that you're closer to Dallas most likely than any other major city or something like that. So you could drive, walk, whatever, but get there. If you need this help, call us, even if there are financial concerns. Maybe we can help you with a scholarship. And then in October, Intimacy and Marriage is going to be in Dallas, October the 20th. Lumina is the 27th and the 28th at the Museum of the Bible, and it's luminawomen.org. That's the place where you can find out all the information. I think the early bird special might still be in place, not sure. But I've heard women say, here's what one woman said, that was the perfect event for women because the auditorium holds only 450 people, unlike the 18,000 people we used to get at Women of Faith. Very intimate, a lot of close contact with the communicators that are there, and you're just immersed in the museum also, which builds on an event I don't think you will ever forget. Call us or go to luminawomen.org. Restore is November the 3rd in Washington, D.C., and Emotional Freedom is online December the 2nd. All of that coming up. If you need help, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. You can visit us online at newlife.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter. We have a New Life Live YouTube channel where you can watch this and watch past programs. There are just a lot of different ways that you can get this, even if you don't get it live on radio. And one final thing, a gift of any amount, and I'll send you this brand new Life Task Notebook. I think you'll like it. A lot of people said, boy, this is one of those things that really helps. But we're going to do another program right after this, and you can join us on that program, 1-800-229-3000. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Mark. Thanks to all of you who support, listen, watch, pray. God bless you. Have a great day. See you in August.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.